The Zephyrian High Council had made what they considered a reasonable demand. After 3 cycles of brutal warfare across 17 star systems, they had transmitted their ultimatum to Earth: complete human withdrawal from the contested sectors, unconditional surrender of all military assets, and acceptance of permanent exile to their home system. In return, they offered something they believed humans would desperately want: peace. Ambassador Kethvar had delivered the message personally, his crystalline form shimmering with what his species considered diplomatic confidence. The humans, he reasoned, were clearly outmatched. The Zephyrian Alliance commanded 12 species, controlled 47 systems, and possessed technology that had dominated the galaxy for millennia. Humanity had emerged from their little blue world only 2 centuries ago. They should be grateful for any mercy at all. The human response came 3 days later. No. That was it. A single word transmitted back through subspace, signed by someone called Fleet Admiral Sarah Chen. Kethvar had stared at the message for nearly an hour, his translator running diagnostics to ensure it hadn't malfunctioned. Surely these primitive mammals understood the mathematics of their situation. The Zephyrian military command assured him they did not. High Marshal Vexthul, veteran of 30 campaigns across the spiral arm, had laughed with the sound of grinding crystals when informed of humanity's response. These new species always required a demonstration before they understood reality. The demonstration came in the form of a complete orbital bombardment of Kepler 442b, humanity's outermost agricultural colony. 2 million human civilians lived there. The attack was precisely calculated, total destruction with minimal resource expenditure. A clear message that resistance was not only futile but economically inefficient. The humans' reaction was unexpected. Within a week, every Zephyrian listening post within 50 light years had gone silent. Not destroyed, simply silent. Their automated distress signals cut off mid-transmission. Their crews vanished without a trace. The High Council initially dismissed it as equipment failure, or perhaps cowardly retreat by station personnel. Then the agricultural worlds started dying. It began with Thylos Prime, the Alliance's primary food production facility. The vast wheat analogous, fields that fed 6 billion Zephyrians across the sector, simply stopped growing. Soil analyses revealed nothing. The earth remained fertile, the seeds viable, but nothing would take root. Within months, the entire planet was barren. Next came the water worlds. Zephyrian physiology required a specific mineral composition found naturally in only a handful of systems. These worlds had been carefully terraformed over centuries to produce the pure essence their species needed to survive. The humans somehow introduced a microscopic organism, something that couldn't be detected until it was everywhere, converting the precious minerals into compounds toxic to Zephyrian biology. The truly terrifying part was the patience of it all. Marshal Vexthul found himself studying tactical reports that made no sense. Human fleets would appear at the edge of systems, engage just long enough to seem present, then vanish the moment serious resistance arrived. They weren't trying to win battles. They were mapping every supply line, every communication relay, every critical piece of infrastructure that kept the Alliance functioning. Then they began their true work. The humans had learned something during their brief tenure among the stars, something the older species had forgotten. War wasn't about territory or resources or even ideology. War was about making your enemy understand that the cost of fighting you exceeded any possible benefit they might gain. Manufacturing worlds found their automated systems developing inexplicable flaws. Ships would launch from orbital dry docks only to discover their navigation systems had been quietly rewritten to send them into the nearest star. Food shipments arrived containing substances that were technically edible, but triggered severe digestive distress in every Alliance species. The psychological warfare was perhaps worse than the physical sabotage. Every Zephyrian military communication was being intercepted, analyzed, and responded to with precisely crafted messages. Tactical reports were subtly altered to include data about dead Alliance soldiers' families. Personal letters from home arrived at military outposts with small additions, details about loved ones that only an occupying force could know, suggestions about what might happen to them if the war continued. Ambassador Kethvar realized the scope of what they faced when he received a package at his personal residence on the Alliance capital world. Inside was a hologram of his offspring, children he hadn't seen in cycles due to his diplomatic duties. They were playing in what appeared to be their school courtyard, laughing and running with their peers. The message was simple. We know where everyone you love spends their time. Stop this war now. The package had been delivered to the most secure building on the most protected world in Alliance space. The humans had walked up to his door and knocked. 6 months after Kepler 442b, the Zephyrian High Council convened an emergency session. Food riots had broken out on 17 worlds. 3 manufacturing systems had gone completely offline. Military recruitment had ceased entirely after holovids of human recruitment centers, actually abandoned buildings filled with Alliance prisoner of war cages, had been broadcast on every civilian network simultaneously. High Marshal Vex Thul presented his tactical assessment with crystal resonances that betrayed barely controlled terror. They are not fighting a war, he reported. They are performing surgery, precise, calculated, designed to cause maximum suffering while ensuring we remain alive to experience it. The humans had sent another message the previous day. This one was longer than their initial response, but only slightly. You wanted peace, from us. We tried that once. You killed 2 million of our people for it. Now you get to learn what we do to species who mistake our mercy for weakness. This stops when you surrender unconditionally, withdraw to your home systems, and spend the next century wondering if every shadow might contain a human with a grudge. It was signed by the same Fleet Admiral Sarah Chen, but now included a postscript that chilled every council member to their crystalline cores. We have a saying, humanity sleeps peacefully only because rough men stand ready to do violence on their behalf. You just woke up all of them. The surrender was transmitted within the hour. As the Zephyrian fleets began their withdrawal from human space, Ambassador Kethvar composed his final report on the species that had so thoroughly outmaneuvered the galaxy's greatest military alliance. His conclusion was simple and terrifying. They do not fight wars, they end them.